Hi everyone, welcome to the Fire Mountain Gems and Beads Jewelry Making Studio. Today's tutorial is about CRAW, C-R-A-W. That's cubic right angle weave. It gives you a three-dimensional right angle weave. Now, I've also got a video called PRAW, P-R-A-W, which is prismatic right angle weave, which is totally intimidating. But I found it was easier to learn and then switch over to this one. So if you haven't watched the PRAW video yet, I highly recommend it, and then learn how to do CRAW. But right now, maybe you just want to start right off with some CRAW, and I'm going to show you how.
Get our email newsletter for beading news, sale announcements, new product announcements, and more. Link is in the description below.
I'm going to start, because it is cubic, I'm going to start with 4 beads. It's all about squares. It's about visualizing this little apartment building we're building. It's going to be a high-rise apartment building. So I've got my 4 beads on here, and I go back through all 4 of them again and form them into the square floor that I'm building on. Here's my square floor. And I am going to tie a knot. I know it's a sin in the seed bead game to tie knots, but when it comes to making life easier for myself, I'm going to tie a knot. So don't do anything fancy. Just a double knot will be fine. It's nothing exciting, just so it doesn't slide off for you. Okay, so here's my 4 floor beads. And I need to build walls on those 4 floor beads so that we can have an apartment. So I'm going to go through one more bead. And that's the floor we're going to build on. We're going to build on a couple of walls and a ceiling out of that. My walls, I'm going to use these fire polish beads. So at this point, I'm going to need a wall, a ceiling, and a wall. And those will form the 4 sides of this first wall. Going back through the bead I started with, the floor bead. There we go. There's our first wall. Now I need to build another wall. So I'm going to go through the next floor bead. And I'm going to add a wall and a ceiling. And the other wall is already there. So I don't need to add another one. I just need to go through the one I've already got. Just like you were building a real building. You know, you put up one wall and you attach another wall to it. So I've attached a wall to that. Go back through the floor bead. And it's time for another wall. So we go back through another floor bead. And these walls will start popping up on us, and that's good. We want that to happen. And we add another wall. A wall, a ceiling, back through the wall we just added right here. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Ah. And through that floor bead that we just started with. Okay. And we still need to finish our little cubic apartment. So we'll go through this next floor bead, but you can see now that I popped all the walls up, and they're kind of in place, that we have all 4 of our walls. And this one that we haven't finished yet here, we went through the floor bead. Here's a wall, here's a wall. All we need is that ceiling bead right here. So I'm going to go through this already existing wall. I'm being very careful not to drop this or lose it, because sometimes you lose track of where you are. If you lose track of your thread and everything. So I'm going to add one more ceiling back through this wall. Like I said, I already had 2 walls in place, so I only needed 1 ceiling bead. Ta-da! And that is our first little apartment in our high-rise building. But now I want to get back up to the ceiling, because that's where I'm building on, from the ceiling. We're not going to build from the floor. We're going to build from the ceiling. So I'm going to go through 1 floor bead. I'm going to go through a wall. Then I'm back up to the top. But you notice these ceiling beads? they are not connected to each other and they're very loose and floppy. So I'm going to go through them again just to tighten everything up. So I go through 2 of the sealing beads, 2 more of the sealing beads, and 1 more because I want a connection between all of these beads. So there, we got the sealing all tightened up and we're back to a 4 bead floor. This sealing now becomes the floor of the next apartment. So there is 1 completed apartment and we're ready to build another one. So off of this, now it's a floor bead. We had a wall, a ceiling, a wall, back through the floor bead we just came out of, and the next floor. Onto that floor, we had a wall and a ceiling. Back down through the wall we just added, and through the floor and the next floor. Add a wall and a ceiling. Down through the wall we just added. And a floor. And look at what we've got here. This is where we were before. We've already got our 2 walls in place. Excuse me, let me get in the center. We already have our 2 walls in place, and all we have to do is add that last sealing bead. See, 4 walls, only 3 ceilings. We only need 1 more ceiling. So I'll go through this wall. It gets me out to the top. Add a ceiling. Down through that wall. The second apartment is finished, except that the ceiling beads are a little bit loosey-goosey, so I'm going to work my way back up to the ceiling by going through a floor, going up through a wall. Now I'll tighten up all these ceiling beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more to connect that last one. Ta-da! And there we go. We have a nice tight little ceiling. We've got 2 little apartments, and we can start building onto those apartments to make a high-rise apartment building of cubic right-angle weave. How about that, folks? Not as scary and intimidating as many people think. I hope you make some wonderful creations with cubic right-angle weave. Have a great time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. My name is Rose. Happy beading.